27F, 32M. My wealthy fiancé wants me to be a stay-at-home wife? My fiancé and I have been engaged for 11 months. And have been together for 2 years. He's very wealthy. We live together in a beautiful home. And I have been fortunate enough to be supported by him while I focus on finishing my education. Online. I have expressed my desire to have many children with him. And he told me that he would only have children with me if I didn't work. And became a stay-at-home wife. Who looked after the children. I'm very hesitant to agree to this because my education would go to waste. And I'm just generally not sure. I'm having trouble deciding. Thanks for the advice. You have to decide if this is okay for you. Given that he's wealthy, I'd suggest you both spend some time with a marriage, family counselor you both trust and like. Negotiate these things with the help of a third party who literally makes this kind of conflict resolution their profession. So a few things. Have a prenup where it lines out how assets would be divided. It should be half of what's accumulated after marriage whether you work or not, since he wants you to give up your career. He needs to set aside a certain amount for your spending money every month. This does not include household expenses. Your free spending money should be equal to his. He needs to fully fund retirement brokerage accounts for you in your name that's equal to what he puts in his own name. Monthly financial meetings to review these accounts and the budget. You both need to outline the reasonable chore split because you'd be busy recovering, caring for baby, and watching other kids. Home chore duties would still be partially his job. When he's home he watches the kids so you get a break. You get a day a week off where you can go out with friends, see a movie, whatever. He watches the kids during this. If he wants to hire a babysitter during that time, then it comes from his fun money bucket. He also gets a day a week off, and similarly you either watch kids or get a sitter from your money. If you two want the same day off, then you split the cost of the sitter. All your accounts should be under your own name and his name doesn't appear anywhere. Similarly, he has accounts in his name. All bills comes out of an account you both have your names on. All these accounts are reviewed in the monthly budget meeting. All this must be agreed to in writing prior to marriage and having kids before you even consider getting married. These are all completely reasonable. His assets prior to marriage remain his. You get equal finances in marriage because you're supporting him. This is all assuming you would want to stay home. Depending on your degree, you might want to make a business from home with your skills. You'd need to put money in all accounts similar to how your husband is in that case. Both your incomes would be treated the same. If you still don't like the idea of staying home, then don't get married. You're not compatible. He won't change his mind. As a woman, I'm a firm believer of never putting myself in a position to have nothing. If 5 years from now you find out he's actually an abusive, controlling boss, it's going to be a lot harder to leave if you're unemployed and don't have your own income. If that's something you want, then I say go for it. But if you're only considering it to make him happy, then I think that's a massive red flag. My husband could hit the Mega Millions jackpot tomorrow, but if I told him I still wanted to work, he would be completely supportive. Don't let this man turn you into something you don't want to be. My wife is a stay-at-home mom because she wants to be, and we are lucky enough to afford to do so. I would never make giving up her career a requirement before I'd have kids with her. It doesn't sound like you're an equal partner in this relationship. You need to have a proper discussion about what this marriage would look like. Outline a clear set of expectations on both sides. Make is a business plan. Not kidding. If he's making you this job offer, what's your salary? Vacation? Working hours? Medical leave? When will he clock in to be dad and husband? When do you get to retire, and what does your second career look like? When can you start it? When do you work the SOM part-time? Full-time? What does your annual bonus look like? How does your salary increase given an increase in responsibility and volume? What precludes you from working in his view? Never give up on your career. Nowadays you never know if the marriage will last or if you might have a reason to have to leave someday. If you have a bad situation, you won't be able to leave if you're entirely financially dependent on your husband. And yes, your education would also be wasted. I have been a Psalm. I think you need to have a much bigger conversation. Only be a Psalm if you truly have an equal marriage and your contribution is valued as much as his. To me, this means that you have a completely equal voice in financial decisions, household decisions, etc. It also means that your focus is kids, not housework. You can pay someone else to do housework if you are wealthy, and your job is to care for kids for the 40 hours, or however many hours, he works each week. When he isn't working, you share the childcare and other work equally. During this off time, you both deserve time to rest. You both should be allowed hobbies and friends. You both should be spending a lot of time with the kids. I have concerns for someone who says he only wants to be a father if his partner is a Psalm. I mean, it sounds like he hasn't even considered that at some point he could be a stay-at-home parent, too, and you could take turns. I worry that he could be controlling or have sexist ideas and that you may not see the full extent of it until you are vulnerable and dependent. I also worry that he may not want to do very much parenting and you'll never get a break. As you look into this, please also ask what his experience was growing up and if he's trying to duplicate his own parents' roles for marriage and parenting. If he is, please watch his parents very carefully and decide if that is what you want. Nope. No. Do not do it. If it makes you uneasy, then don't do it. Never become financially dependent on someone. Draw up a good prenup if you are considering. Well, if you go through with it, make sure there's a prenup that takes care of this. Off the top of my head, it would be that the spousal IRA was maxed out for me every year caring for the kids, or if we didn't qualify for that, an equal amount in a brokerage account in my name, neither of which are taken into account when assets are split. I would also have it spelled out how to get you back into the workforce upon divorce. Specifics depend on how wealthy we're talking about, but alimony, education expenses, housing, daycare for the kids are all things to hash out. I, personally, would also have it in there that any assets acquired during the marriage are to be split, and he can't only shield assets before marriage. If he's demanding you not work, half of what he makes is yours. There would also be a discussion of how finances are handled. If it's not all joint accounts, then you'll get a set amount a month to cover fun stuff for you. This is not to cover any expenses or things done with kids. I'm thinking along the lines of haircuts, hobbies, etc. Make him sign a contract to pay you a monthly allowance, equivalent to a salary, to cover yourself in case you want out, and have it signed by a lawyer. I'm just honestly a little baffled by the comments here. So he is being honest about what he wants, and you haven't mentioned him doing it in a coercive or manipulative way. I think this is the perfect way to approach a 18+ year endeavor like parenting. Too many people don't speak their mind and realize halfway that they made a mistake. So if it's just two adults speaking their mind and exercising their right to choose who to have kids with, this is a morally neutral question. His desires are valid. Your concerns are too. Just be honest about your concerns, and you can both see if you can come up with a plan you are both comfortable with as adults. And if your goals aren't compatible, it's better to find out now than after spawning in tiny humans that take 2 decades to become self-sufficient. This decision is up to you, and requires a lot of communication between the two of you on future plans. If you both see your futures totally different, the marriage may not work out. But if you decide to stay home and raise your children with the person you love, your education would not be a waste. You'll be able to teach your kids so much that public general education wouldn't. You'll be showing them that education has way more benefit than just trying to get paid more. Once they are in school, you can pursue projects, freelance work, creative endeavors that don't require set hours or as much potential stress as working for someone else. You'd have a ton of options. If you don't want to be a stay-at-home mom, if you have been working for this education to pursue a passion you've always wanted to do full-time, or a multitude of reasons, that is completely valid. But I know moms and dads who took the stay-at-home route. Their education was not wasted. The money they would be spending on daily childcare, they put into date nights and parents-only trips. Plus they got so much bonding time with their children. Although there are also benefits if you go with the opposite situation. There's literally nothing wrong with either option. Just make sure you know nothing would be a waste. What matters is what would make you happy and if you and your fiancé can communicate and compromise, so both of you stay happy and supported. Think about it. Talk with the fiancé about it. You will make the right choice for you, I'm sure. How many children do you want? Does he want? How far apart? Don't let anyone financially control or abuse you. Don't give up your career for him. If you want to become a som, then it should be your own decision and not something decided by him. If you two have kids but you both work in order to support them, that takes away bonding time. At least one of y'all should be there for them. There are clear financial implications, but it is much more than that. At some point those kids won't need full-time care and you will not have developed your career and you will be years behind. It will be very difficult to catch up and develop any financial independence. Not to mention making professional use of your education. If you do this when you don't want to, your children will suffer, as will you, and your marriage will ultimately suffer. For your sanity, keep your job. Don't let him baby trap you. Have kids when you are ready. If he wants you to sacrifice your earning potential and be entirely dependent on him, then he needs to guarantee your financial well-being now and in the future with a prenup that accounts for the financial independence you'll lose, and for whatever you'd have been able to provide for your kids through working. If this relationship ever goes bad and you need out, you would be royally screwed unless you've got your own income or have full assurance that you'll be provided for either way. Have your own lawyer to represent your interests in the terms of the prenup. And he should have his own as well, to ensure you're both protected and that it will stand up to any challenges in court in case you should divorce and either of you no longer agree to the terms. Let me stress that you should only do this if you would actually be okay with giving up your goals to stay at home. Do you think that would be a fulfilling life for you? If not, don't do it.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Eracast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.